Hello everybody, emergency video. As you know, going to one of the top universities, it takes all my time away from YouTube, but some news just dropped, as in the last 24 hours, and I thought it was worth talking about. It stems from a meeting between DC Comics and at&t. Let's run up some fast notes before we get into what went down, so you can better understand the severity of the situation that we're currently standing in. If you don't know, at&t owns Warner Brothers, which currently owns DC, but DC is struggling to turn a profit. For example, Marvel is making billions with their comics, and obviously big box office numbers to accompany that. DC has struggled in the box office until recently, starting in 2018 with Aquaman, and then again they sparked gold in 2019 with Joker, but now 2020, it's back to the same old. Birds of Prey flopped hard, doing poor numbers like DC has unfortunately been doing a lot lately. I'm sure Birds of Prey is a great film. I won't be seeing it until Blu-ray, but I am sure it's a great film. But DC struggles to connect with the modern fan. And I'll be the first to admit, the most recent DC comics I enjoyed was the Sideways series. He was awesome, but for the rest of what's in the current circulation, I don't enjoy it, and neither does the greater number of fans, and the poor revenue being made because of that reflects that my opinion is shared among the greater masses. I mean, maybe not with Sideways, maybe not everybody enjoyed Sideways, but as far as not enjoying it, it's definitely a trend now, and I feel like it's only going to get worse for DC. Here's what went down. So first, at&t fired Dan DiDio, who was the current godfather of DC Comics, and that happened because at&t is not happy with his performance, nor are they happy with his way of trying to reboot DC as of right now, with a whole change up of the characters, which we'll get into later. Furthermore, DiDio allegedly caused fights with Batman writer Scott Snyder, who is considered one of the greatest comic book writers of all time, over the planned 5G reboot that is currently going on. Snyder wanted no part in the event, and this is because they wanted to completely change Batman in the middle of a current run, which makes no sense. They were going to change him from our current Batman that we know and love to Black Batman, which of course there's nothing wrong with having a Black Batman, but doing it in the current series when there's so much writing on this current series, that doesn't make too much sense. So Snyder wanted no part in this event, and this led to issues within DC. at&t is not interested in the 5G reboot due to having too much going on with the characters in the movies, the television shows, and the merchandise. So obviously, they're not too keen on rebooting DC Comics, and the big reason is simply just that DC doesn't make a profit. Sales are bad, like really bad. at&t is interested in having Hollywood writers such as James Gunn write the comics instead of actual comic book writers, which I will admit is a good idea in theory, but that's way too expensive. These guys are going to have to sell millions of issues to make profit after these big names are paid for, and that's just not plausible in the current state of DC Comics. Now onto the issue of Disney taking over DC Comics. It's been thrown around apparently that at&t wants to license DC Comics to Marvel by way of Disney, which would see all comic publications of DC IPs be in the Marvel universe, but however, the film rights would stay with Warner Brothers. at&t wants out of the comic world, and if they pull out, I see nobody but Marvel being able to take command and push the characters into the limelight and give them the attention they deserve. The characters at DC, from the ones Jack Kirby created to the ones that were created in the 1930s and 1940s, these are legendary creatures, legendary characters, legendary heroes, legendary villains. There is a lot of things that can be done with these people, these creatures, these characters. And if DC can't do it themselves, then I feel like Marvel is the only person who can do that. I mean, we could get another Avengers versus Justice League event, and as far as I know, when that happened way back when, everybody liked it, and from what I've read of it now in my life as a 22-year-old, I enjoy it too. I would love to see a version of that done for the younger audience such as myself. It would be cool to see our generation get our own Avengers versus Justice League. I expect a lot to come out of this situation, both good and bad, and I'm curious to see how it unfolds. It is of course at the moment not confirmed, but all the insiders are pushing and saying it's coming. So we'll have to see how the 5G event goes before we can truly start theorizing what Marvel will do with the situation and these characters. So with that being said, what do you think is going to happen with these characters? And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen of the interweb, try not to die. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.